My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 38 years old, and until that Tuesday afternoon, I believed I had everything figured out. Not in some grand philosophical way. I'm a contractor, not a poet. I mean the basics. Work hard, treat people right, come home to someone who loves you. Simple stuff. The kind of life my father built, and his father before him. I started coal construction 15 years ago with nothing but a beat-up Chevy truck and a toolbox I'd inherited from my old man. Now I run a crew of 6 guys, manage projects across town, and clear enough to pay the mortgage on time and take a vacation once a year. It's honest work. The kind that leaves splinters in your hands and satisfaction in your chest when you drive past a house you built. Rachel came into my life 6 years ago at Dave's barbecue. Dave's wife was always trying to set me up with someone, and I usually dodged those bullets, but Rachel, she was different. 29 years old with long dark hair that caught the light when she laughed. And God, that laugh. It wasn't some practiced giggle. It was real, unguarded, the kind that made everyone around her smile without meaning to. She worked part-time at a boutique downtown, selling overpriced clothes to women who had more money than sense. After we married 5 years ago, she quit. "I want to focus on us," she'd said, wrapping her arms around my neck. "Make this place really feel like home." I didn't argue. The money wasn't an issue, and honestly, I liked the idea. Coming home to someone who wasn't exhausted from their own job, who had energy for us, it felt like winning a lottery I hadn't even entered. We never had kids. Rachel would change the subject whenever it came up, and I didn't push. We had time, I figured. Plenty of time. Our routine was comfortable, predictable. I'd leave the house at 6 in the morning, she'd still be asleep. I'd come home around 6 at night to find her on the couch, scrolling through her phone or watching some reality show about housewives. Sometimes she'd cook, usually pasta, something simple. Sometimes we'd order Chinese. We'd eat, watch TV, maybe fool around if it was Friday. Once a week, like clockwork. Her friends were, well, they were her friends. Sarah, Jenna, Ashley, a tight group from her college days. They'd do brunch every Sunday, spa days, wine nights that stretched past midnight. She'd come home giggling, smelling like expensive perfume and cheap wine, telling me stories about who said what about whom. I'd half listen, nod in the right places. It was her world, not mine. Looking back now, there were signs. The way she'd angle her phone away when texting. The new lingerie that never seemed meant for me. The way she'd sometimes look at me like she was calculating something, working out a math problem where I was just one of the variables. But that Tuesday morning, I kissed her forehead like always. She murmured something in her sleep, pulled the covers higher. Her phone was charging on the nightstand, lighting up with notifications I didn't bother to read. Why would I? I trusted my wife. The bathroom remodel we were working on went smooth as silk. The clients were out of town, gave us the run of the place. My crew knocked it out by 3 instead of 6, a minor miracle in the contracting world. I texted Rachel, "Home early today. Want to go to that Italian place you like?" No response. She was probably out with the girls, phone buried in her purse. I stopped by Home Depot, grabbed supplies for our own bathroom. The faucet had been dripping for weeks. Drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. Maybe it was the early finish, maybe the perfect weather, but something felt like possibility. I walked through our front door at 3:27 p.m. I remember the exact time because I was thinking about making our dinner reservation. "Rachel?" I called out, setting my keys on the entry table. No answer, but I heard movement in the living room. I found her there, curled on the couch with a glass of red wine. Tuesday afternoon wine. That should have been my first warning. She looked up at me with this expression I couldn't quite read, like someone holding a secret they're dying to tell but afraid to speak. "Hey," she said, setting down her phone, face down on the coffee table. "You're home early." "Yeah, finished the Morrison job ahead of schedule," I replied, moving toward her, but something in her posture stopped me. "Everything okay?" She took a long sip of wine, then set the glass down with deliberate care. "We need to talk. 4 words. Every man knows those 4 words mean nothing good is coming, but I couldn't have imagined how bad it would be." I sat down across from her, still in my work clothes. Sawdust probably still in my hair. She looked at me then, really looked at me. and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Distance, calculation, like I was a problem she needed to solve. "Ethan," she said, her voice steady as a surgeon's hand, "I think we should open our marriage." The words hung in the air between us like smoke from a fire I couldn't see. "Open our marriage," I repeated, the phrase feeling foreign in my mouth. "What does that mean exactly?" Rachel tucked her legs under herself, wine glass back in hand, a prop for casual conversation. "As if we were discussing vacation plans or what color to paint the kitchen." "It means we stay married," she said, her voice picking up confidence. "But we're free to explore connections with other people. Physical connections. It's actually very common now. Progressive couples do it all the time. Progressive. Like our marriage was some social experiment." "You want to sleep with other men," I stated flatly, not phrasing it as a question. "It's not about wanting anyone specific," she said quickly. "Too quickly?" "It's about growth, about not letting our relationship stagnate. Sarah and Thomas have been doing it for 2 years, and they've never been happier." Sarah and Thomas. Of course. Sarah with her yoga instructor body and her life coach certification. Thomas with his tech job and his Tesla and his obvious depression that everyone pretended not to notice. "So this is what you talk about at your wine nights?" I asked, my voice deadly calm. "Planning to sleep with other people?" "Don't be crude," she snapped, then caught herself, softened her tone. "Baby, this could be good for us. You could see other women too. It's only fair." Fair? Like she was offering me a consolation prize. "I don't want other women. I want my wife," I said firmly. She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes. And that tiny gesture shattered something inside me that I didn't know could break. "Don't be so dramatic," she said dismissively. "It's just intimacy. It doesn't mean anything." "If it doesn't mean anything, then why do you need it?" I challenged. She opened her mouth, closed it. For the first time since I'd walked in, she looked uncertain. "Because," she started, then stopped. Tried again. "Because I'm 35 years old, and I feel like I'm disappearing. Like I'm becoming invisible. Do you understand that? You're not invisible to me," I said softly. "That's not enough." The words exploded out of her, wine sloshing dangerously in her glass. "God, Ethan, when did you become so boring? When did we become so boring? We do the same things, eat at the same restaurants, have the same intimacy in the same positions on the same night every week. So talk to me about it," I interrupted, standing up, my hands shaking. "Tell me what you need, but this isn't a solution. This is destruction." "Other couples make it work," she started. "We're not other couples," I shouted, something I rarely did. "We're us. And if you're unhappy, we fix it together. We don't invite strangers into our bed to solve our problems." She stood too, wine glass abandoned, facing me with a defiance I'd never seen. "Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we can't fix it together. Maybe we need something else, something more." "Someone else, you mean? Who is he?" I demanded. "What?" she said, looking startled. "The guy you want to sleep with. Because this isn't theoretical, Rachel. You don't wake up one Tuesday and decide you want an open marriage. So who is he?" Her face flushed. "There's no one. Don't lie to me, not now. Not after this," I warned. She was crying suddenly, tears streaming down her face. "It was just a test, okay? The girls dared me to see how you'd react. It's not real. I don't want anyone else. A test, a prank." The words hit me like ice water. "You thought this would be funny?" My voice dropped so quiet she leaned forward to hear me. "You thought you could say this to me, watch me break apart, and then laugh about it with your friends?" "I didn't think you'd react like this," she protested weakly. "Get out," I said. "What?" she gasped. "Get out of my house." "Ethan, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean," she begged. "Get out!" I roared. She flinched like I'd slapped her. More tears, her makeup running in black streams. "You can't just kick me out. This is my home too." "Not anymore," I said, pulling out my phone, already texting. "I'm calling your parents. They can come get you, or I can drop you off. Your choice. You're serious?" she asked in disbelief. "You're actually throwing me out over a stupid joke?" "It wasn't a joke," I said coldly. "Even if you're backtracking now, even if you're scared, you meant it when you said it. I saw it in your eyes. You've been thinking about this." She grabbed my arm, nails digging in. "Please, baby, please. I love you." Only you. I swear to God, I pulled away. Don't. I went upstairs, grabbed the suitcase from the closet, started throwing her clothes in, the expensive jeans, the lingerie I'd never seen her wear, the sweaters that cost more than my guys made in a day. She followed me, alternating between begging and accusing, between tears and rage. "You're overreacting," she screamed. "You'll regret this," she threatened. "I'll change," she promised. "You never loved me anyway," she accused. Each statement more desperate than the last, throwing everything at the wall to see what might stick. 20 minutes later, her suitcase was in my truck bed. She sat in the passenger seat, silent now, staring straight ahead. The 15-minute drive to her parents' house felt like hours. When I pulled into their driveway, she turned to me one last time. "This is really it. You're really doing this?" she asked quietly. "You did this," I corrected. "I'm just finishing it." I left her standing in her parents' driveway, suitcase at her feet, watching me drive away. My phone started buzzing before I made it home. Texts from her. From her mom. From numbers I didn't recognize. Probably the toxic friend group. I turned it off and drove in silence, my wedding ring feeling suddenly heavy on my finger. At home, the wine glass still sat on the coffee table, lipstick marks on the rim. I picked it up, walked to the sink, and watched the red liquid spiral down the drain. Then I sat in my empty house and tried to understand how a random Tuesday had become the day my marriage died. The assault started at dawn. My phone, charging on the nightstand, lit up like a Christmas tree at 5:47 a.m. Text after text. A digital barrage that pulled me from the first decent sleep I'd had in 48 hours. Rachel. "I'm so sorry. Please, can we talk?" Rachel. "I didn't mean any of it." Rachel. "Ethan, please." "I love you." Rachel. "This is crazy. You can't throw away 5 years." Rachel. "Please answer me." 43 texts by the time I got to the kitchen. I deleted them all, blocked her number, made coffee. The house felt different, emptier but somehow cleaner. Like opening windows after someone's been smoking inside. Then her mother called. Linda had always been polite to me. In that way, mothers are when they think their daughters could do better. I answered on speaker while I fried eggs. "Ethan, honey," she began, her voice dripping concern like syrup. Rachel told me what happened. "She's absolutely devastated." "Good morning, Linda," I responded neutrally. "She made a mistake, sweetheart. A silly mistake. But surely you can see past that. Marriage is about forgiveness," she pressed. I flipped the eggs, watching the whites set. "She asked me to let her sleep with other men, Linda. That's not a mistake. That's a revelation. She said it was a prank." "Those awful friends of hers," Linda tried. "She's 35 years old," I interrupted. "If her friends can talk her into destroying her marriage as a prank, we have bigger problems." Silence. Then her voice hardened. "You took vows, Ethan. For better or worse." "She broke them first when she decided our marriage wasn't enough," I replied, and hung up. Tom called next, while I was driving to the Simpson renovation. His message was shorter, more direct. "You're being stubborn. Rachel's a good woman. Don't let pride cost you your marriage." Pride. Like this was about my ego, and not about my wife wanting to spread her legs for strangers. By noon, I'd had enough. I called Thomas Green, a divorce attorney Dave had used. Made an appointment for that afternoon. Sitting in his office, all leather and dark wood, the kind of place that charged by the minute, I felt like I was watching myself from outside my body. "Tell me everything," Thomas said, leaning back in his chair. So I did. The proposal. The friends. The prank excuse. He took notes without comment, occasionally nodding. "Here's the situation," he said when I finished. "You've got advantages. No kids, that's huge. House is in your name only. She hasn't worked in 4 years, but she's young, healthy, employable. A judge won't give her permanent alimony for a 5-year marriage where she's the one who blew it up. She'll say it was a joke," I pointed out. "Doesn't matter," he assured me. "You don't need grounds in this state. Irreconcilable differences covers everything." He pulled out papers, started filling them out. "My advice? No contact. Not a text, not a call, nothing. Let me handle all communication. She shows up at your house? Don't answer. She comes to your work? Tell her to leave or you'll call the police. She will come to my work, I predicted. They always do, he said with a grim smile. The key is documentation. Save every text before you block her. Record any encounters. Build a pattern of harassment if she won't leave you alone. I signed where he pointed, wrote a check for the retainer. Walking out, I felt both lighter and heavier, like I'd traded one burden for another. Rachel didn't disappoint. She showed up at the Simpson site the next day. I was on a ladder installing crown molding when I heard her voice. That familiar pitch, but desperate now, cracking at the edges. "Ethan! Ethan, please!" she called out. My crew stopped working. 6 guys, all trying not to stare, all failing. I climbed down slowly, deliberately, pulling off my work gloves. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, no makeup, wearing sweatpants and one of my old college shirts. The contrast to her usual put-together self was shocking. "You need to leave," I said loud enough for everyone to hear. 5 minutes. "Just give me 5 minutes," she pleaded. "No," I said firmly. "I'll do anything," she cried, tears already flowing. "Therapy, counseling, whatever you want." "Just please, Rachel." I kept my voice steady, professional. "You're disrupting my work site. If you don't leave, I'll have to call the police." She stared at me like I'd become a stranger. Maybe I had. "You won't even look at me," she whispered. "There's nothing to see," I replied coldly. Miguel stepped forward. 6'3", tattooed, gentle as a lamb, but looked like a bouncer. "Ma'am, you should go," he said quietly but firmly. She backed away, stumbling, still crying. "This isn't over, Ethan. You can't just throw me away." But I could. And I did. The flowers came next. Expensive arrangements delivered to the house. I gave them to Mrs. Jordan next door. Then came the letter, handwritten, slipped under my windshield wiper. "Ethan, I know you hate me right now. I know I destroyed everything. But please remember who we were. Remember the good times. Remember that I love you, even if I'm terrible at showing it. I'll wait, as long as it takes." Or I burned it in the backyard fire pit along with our wedding photos. Her friends started their campaign next. Sarah called from 3 different numbers before I caught on. "You're being controlling and abusive," she said when I finally answered. Rachel just wanted to explore modern relationship dynamics. "Sarah, does Thomas know you convinced my wife to ask for an open marriage?" I cut her off. Silence. Maybe I should call him. "Discuss modern relationship dynamics," I suggested. She hung up. Didn't call again. Jenna tried a different approach, showing up at my door with wine and sympathy. "I know Rachel hurt you," she purred, hand on my arm. "But maybe you need some comfort, too?" I laughed, actually laughed, and closed the door in her face. By the end of the week, I'd changed the locks, installed security cameras, and had Thomas send the divorce papers for serving. Rachel had moved from desperation to anger. Her texts to my work phone increasingly hostile. "You'll regret this. I'll take everything. You were never enough for me anyway." Each message was screenshot, documented, filed. Thomas was building quite a case for harassment. The papers would be served Monday. Part of me wondered if she knew what was coming. If she could feel the machinery of divorce grinding toward her, inexorable as gravity. The other part of me didn't care what she felt anymore. Thomas called me Monday morning while I was reviewing invoices. "Process server will be at her parents' house at 2 p.m. "You sure you don't want to be there?" he asked. "I'm sure," I replied. "I had a business to run, and watching Rachel get served wouldn't change anything." "She's going to come at you hard after this," he warned. "They always do when reality hits." "Let her come," I said. At 2:15, my phone exploded. 27 calls in 5 minutes. Rachel, Linda, Tom, numbers I didn't recognize. I set it to silent and kept working on the Butler kitchen estimate. At 3:45, she arrived at the job site. I heard the screech of tires first, then the slam of a car door that made everyone look up. She stormed across the yard, divorce papers clutched in her fist like a weapon. "Ethan!" she screamed. My guys exchanged glances. Miguel started moving closer, protective. I held up a hand to stop him and climbed down from the scaffolding. She looked wild, hair tangled, eyes red and swollen, wearing the same sweats from days ago. The papers were crumpled where she'd been gripping them. "What the hell is this?" she demanded, waving the papers at me. "You know what it is," I said calmly. "You're actually divorcing me?" "Over a damn joke!" she shrieked. The entire crew was watching now. The butler's neighbors were probably watching from their windows. Good. Let them all see. It wasn't a joke, I stated. We both know that. I told you I was sorry, she protested. Sorry doesn't fix this, Rachel, I said firmly. She stepped closer, lowering her voice to a hiss. You're destroying my life over nothing. I never cheated on you. I never even... You asked too. I cut her off. That's enough. Her face crumpled, the rage collapsing into desperation. Ethan, please. I'm begging you. We can fix this. Couples therapy, anything? No, I said simply. I have nothing. Her voice cracked. No job, no money, nowhere to go. You should have thought about that before, I replied without sympathy. Something shifted in her expression, a hardness creeping in. You've changed. You're not the man I married, she accused. No, I agreed. That man would have forgiven you. That man would have taken you back and spent the rest of his life wondering when you'd ask again. Or just do it without asking. I would never, she started. You already did, I interrupted. In your mind, you already did. Every time you talked about it with your friends, every time you thought about it, you were already there. I was just the last to know. She stood there shaking, tears streaming. For a second, just a second, she looked like the woman I'd fallen in love with at Dave's barbecue. Young and lost and beautiful. I loved you, she whispered. No, I corrected. You loved the security I provided. You loved the life I gave you, but me? You were willing to share me like a Netflix password. She slapped me, hard enough that my crew stepped forward, but I waved them back. My cheek stung, but I didn't touch it. Just looked at her. Feel better? I asked. She raised her hand again, then lowered it. I hate you, she spat. That's fine, I said evenly. I'll take everything. The house, your business, she threatened. Try it, I said, pulling out my phone, showing her the recording app running. Everything's documented. The harassment, the texts, this assault. My lawyer's building quite a file. Her face went pale. You're recording this? She asked in shock. Every word, I confirmed. She backed away, stumbling over construction debris. You planned this. You wanted this to happen, she accused. No, Rachel. I wanted a wife who loved me enough to not other men. But we don't always get what we want, I said. She ran to her car, peeling out hard enough to leave marks on the asphalt. Miguel whistled low. Boss, you good? He asked with concern. I'm good, I assured him, touching my cheek. Definitely going to bruise. Let's get back to work. But she wasn't done. Over the next 3 weeks, she cycled through every manipulation tactic in the playbook. She had her lawyer send a demand for alimony, claiming she'd sacrificed her career for our marriage. Thomas shut that down with prejudice. She'd quit a part-time retail job, not abandoned a medical degree. She tried sending mutual friends as emissaries. Dave's wife called, tentative. Maybe you two could work it out. Did she tell you what she asked me? I questioned. Well, not exactly, Brenda admitted. She wanted an open marriage, Brenda. She wanted to sleep with other men while staying married to me, I explained. Long pause. Oh my God, I didn't. She didn't say that, Brenda said, shocked. The friends stopped calling after that. Her parents made one last attempt. Tom showed up at my house on a Saturday morning looking older than I remembered. Can we talk man to man? He asked. I let him in, made coffee. We sat at the kitchen table where Rachel and I used to eat breakfast. She's my daughter, he started. I have to try. I understand, I said. She made a mistake, he began. Tom, I interrupted, setting down my mug. If Linda came to you tomorrow and said she wanted to sleep with other men, what would you do? His jaw tightened. That's different, he said defensively. How? I challenged. He couldn't answer. We finished our coffee in silence. At the door, he turned back. She's not doing well. Living with us, working at a grocery store. This isn't the life she planned, he said sadly. Neither was mine, I replied. The final hearing was on a Thursday. Rachel sat across the courtroom with her lawyer, wearing a dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. She kept trying to catch my eye. I focused on Thomas's notes. The judge was efficient, disinterested. No kids, no significant assets to divide, no grounds for alimony. 20 minutes and 5 years of marriage dissolved like sugar in water. In the parking lot, she caught up to me. No tears this time, just exhaustion. Was I really that bad? She asked. Was our marriage really that terrible that you couldn't give me a second chance? I thought about it, really considered the question. Our marriage was fine, I said finally. But you wanted more. And in wanting more, you showed me I was never going to be enough. I can't live like that, Rachel. I won't. I could have changed, she said softly. No, I disagreed. You could have hidden it better, but it would always be there underneath. The want, the wondering, the resentment. I unlocked my truck. We're both free now. You can have all the men you want. I never wanted anyone else, she said quietly. I just wanted to want them. Does that make sense? No, I said honestly. I wanted to feel desired again, new, exciting, she tried to explain, and I wanted a faithful wife. Guess we both lost, I said, getting in my truck. I drove away, watching her shrink in the rearview mirror until she was just another stranger in a parking lot. The silence was the strangest part. After weeks of texts, calls, confrontations, and chaos, my house became quiet as a morgue. I'd wake up at 5:30, make coffee, check my phone. Nothing. No missed calls, no desperate voicemails, no threats or promises or manipulation, just silence. I threw myself into work with the focus of a man trying to outrun his thoughts. Took every job that came my way. Kitchens, bathrooms, additions, even small repairs I usually passed to newer contractors. 12-hour days became 14. Weekends disappeared. You trying to kill yourself? Miguel asked one evening as we loaded tools. Just staying busy, I replied. Boss, we're booked through next year. You can ease up, he pointed out. But easing up meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering, and remembering meant acknowledging the Rachel-shaped hole in my life. Not that I missed her, I missed the idea of her. The wife I thought I had, the future I'd planned. Word traveled fast in our small town. Contractors talk, wives gossip, and soon everyone knew. Ethan Cole's wife asked for an open marriage, and he divorced her. The reactions were interesting. Some guys clapped me on the back, bought me beers, shared their own war stories. My ex wanted to find herself too, Brad from Henderson Electric told me. Found herself with my brother. Women were more divided. The older ones, married 20-plus years, understood. You did right, Mrs. Jordan said, accepting another bouquet from Rachel's apology flowers. A marriage without trust is just a pretty prison. But younger women, Rachel's generation, sometimes looked at me like I was the villain. People make mistakes, a barista said pointedly, seeing my wedding ring tan line. Forgiveness is important. So is loyalty, I replied, leaving no tip. Through the grapevine, I heard about Rachel. Living with her parents at 35. Working at Save Mart, stocking shelves third shift. Her Instagram, once full of mimosa brunches and inspirational quotes, had gone dark. Sarah and Jenna, her ride-or-die friends who'd encouraged the open marriage idea, disappeared like smoke. Apparently, being friends with a cautionary tale wasn't good for their image. Saw your ex at the store, Dave mentioned one day, helping me frame a garage. She looks rough, man. Not my problem, I said. You feel bad at all? He asked. I considered it, hammering a nail home. I feel bad it happened. I don't feel bad about my response. 3 months post-divorce, I met Claire. It wasn't romantic or dramatic. Her dog got loose at the park, ran straight into my job site. This golden retriever, muddy paws and pure joy, jumping on my guys. Claire came running after, apologizing profusely, trying to grab the collar. I'm so sorry. Max, get down, Max, she called out frantically. She was pretty in an understated way. Short blonde hair, paint-stained jeans, laugh lines around green eyes. A veterinary technician, I learned later. Divorced herself 2 years out. Let me buy you coffee, she offered. Apology for the chaos. Dogs having fun. No harm done, I said. Still, coffee? She persisted with a smile. We talked for 2 hours. Not about exes or divorce or betrayal. About dogs, hiking trails, whether pineapple belonged on pizza. She said yes. I said absolutely not. It was easy. No games, no tests, no hidden meanings. We started dating slowly. Coffee became lunch. Lunch became dinner. She knew my story. Everyone did, but didn't push for details. We all have history, she said simply. What matters is what we do going forward. She didn't play with her phone during dinner. Didn't have toxic friends pushing modern relationship dynamics. Didn't look at me like I was a problem to solve or a security blanket to cling to. 6 months after the divorce, I ran into Rachel at the hardware store. I was pricing lumber, focused on measurements, when I heard her voice. "Ethan?" She stood at the end of the aisle, holding a small can of paint. The designer clothes were gone. She wore faded jeans and a Save Mart polo. Her hair, once salon perfect, hung limp. She'd lost weight too much. "Rachel," I acknowledged. "You look good," she said. "The business going well?" "It's fine," I said shortly. Awkward silence. She shifted the paint can between hands. "I heard you're seeing someone." "The vet tech," she mentioned. "Small town." Of course she knew. "Yeah," I confirmed. "Is she good to you?" She asked hesitantly. "She's honest." "That's enough," I said. Rachel flinched. I was honest too. "Eventually," she said defensively. "After you got caught in the ask?" "That's not honesty, that's damage control," I countered. "I never cheated on you, Ethan. Never," she insisted. "You wanted to. You were planning to. You just wanted my permission first so you wouldn't feel guilty," I said, turning back to the lumber prices. "Excuse me, I need to—" "I loved you," she said desperately. I stopped but didn't turn around. "I did," she continued. I got lost in the friends, the lifestyle, the idea that I was missing something. I threw away the best thing in my life for a fantasy." "Yes, you did," I agreed. "Do you think—" Her voice cracked. "Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" I turned then, really looked at her. "This broken woman who'd once been my wife, I forgave you months ago, Rachel, for my own peace. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean forgetting. It just means I'm not carrying the anger anymore," I explained. "So we could—" she started hopefully. "No, we couldn't. We never can," I said firmly, picking up my lumber estimate. "Take care of yourself." I left her standing there, holding that little can of paint like it was all she had left. That night, Claire cooked dinner at my place. Nothing fancy, spaghetti and salad. Max sprawled on the kitchen floor, hoping for dropped food. "Good day?" she asked, handing me a beer. "Better now," I said honestly. She smiled, kissed my cheek, went back to stirring the sauce. No drama, no tests, no games, just peace. My phone sat silent on the counter. No texts to delete, no calls to ignore. The war was over, and I'd survived. Rachel was surviving too, in her way. Working retail, living with parents, facing the consequences of her choices. I didn't wish her ill. I didn't wish her well. I nothinged her, which was perhaps the cruelest fate of all. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I had a good woman cooking in my kitchen, a business thriving, and a future that didn't include wondering when the next betrayal would come. Rachel had wanted more. She'd ended up with so much less, and me? I'd lost a wife but found my worth. Fair trade. In the bedroom, Claire's already stolen my side of the bed, pretending to be asleep. I tickle her until she shrieks, rolling over, laughing. We make love like people who actually like each other, playful, present, connected. After, as she sleeps against my chest, I think about Rachel one last time. Not with anger or sadness or even pity, just acknowledgement. We were wrong for each other, but it took her nuclear option to make me see it. Somewhere in Phoenix, she's starting over. Maybe she's found what she was looking for. Maybe she's learned that excitement without foundation is just chaos. Maybe she's still searching, still convinced that happiness exists somewhere outside herself. I hope she finds peace. I really do. But that's her journey now. Mine led me here, to this house I built, this woman who sees me clearly and chooses me anyway. This life that's simple and real and mine. Rachel wanted an open marriage. Instead, she opened my eyes. And for that, only for that, I'm grateful. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.